Highlights of the 2019 Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra are proudly brought to you by Windhoek Light. The spectacular Fish River Canyon in southern Namibia is the setting for one of the toughest and at the same time most beautiful trail running events on the African continent. A day ahead of the 2019 edition of the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra, runners were gifted with a stunning view from above of the canyon while perusing the route maps for the two events, the 65-kilometre and the 100-kilometre trail run. In a mere 5 years, the event has captured the imagination of trail runners from far and wide. The Fish River Ultra and its sister event, the Namib Quest mountain bike race, are two boutique-style adventures in the Windhoek Light stable.
The boutique events happened to be because Namibia is such a unique country. First of all, the Fish River Ultra Marathon, which is a very exclusive area and which, in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, we are allowed to open up for one day for 75 participants to showcase this beautiful, the second in the world largest canyon to the rest of the world. All the proceeds of this event go to the Ministry of Environment and Tourism to be reinvested into this specific region of Namibia.
The athletes would spend the night before the race in spacious canvas dome tents. The man to beat was multiple winner and record holder AJ Karlitz, who loves the event so much that he's never missed a Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra run.
You know, when I plan my year, it's always, okay, when is fish? Tick that box. It's right in the middle of the year, and it's usually the start of the ultra season for us. So it is a very important race for me. It's one very close to my heart, and it is one where I've done quite well in the past. So it's kind of one where I measure myself against previous years. So I do put a bit of pressure on myself, but it is the most beautiful place I think I've ever been. So to be able to run here and to just experience this and the hospitality of the crew is just magic. Last year was a great year. It was a very difficult, it was very hot. This year it looks a lot cooler. There's a lot less water though, so I mean every year is tough. I mean you can see the trainers around us is unforgiving. So the race is as hard as it needs to be. Sometimes when you run through the canyon you go, oh yes, I remember it's like this year or that year. You know, and we have the GPS tracks, but it changes from literally from day to day depending on the wind, on the rain, on which routes the hikers take. So there's no set route or a set path you can take. But there are sort of remnants of previous years that flash up and go, oh yes, I remember this, or you know, I remember that. So it's such a blessing to be back. I'm actually really looking forward to it. Goal one is to win. So that's the thing. Yes, it does depend. You know, this year a lot of the shorter races in the sort of initial part of the year got cancelled. So I have been focusing more on longer races. So this is always a major tick box of the year. So we have been working quite hard. My wife always asks me when I get home, did you enjoy it? Did you take in what you saw as opposed to just running? And even if you win, if you don't take anything in, then you haven't really won at all, have you? So it is about doing well and it is about running fast, but it's about enjoying the canyon as well.
The near full moon beamed down brightly as the race briefing held the attention of the runners. Namib Breweries Limited's Nico Gericke told them what they could expect to experience over the next 36 hours or so. Dinner, as usual, matched the magical setting. This was the fuel that would get these athletes through the unforgiving terrain of the Fish River over the next day. In the cool dark of pre-dawn at 6:30, the 100-kilometre race began. A stiff breeze in the faces of their runners as they set off, a reminder of the critical role Mother Nature can play in the run. Good quality headlamps were a must as they made their way along the flat rim of the canyon. A string of bright pearls in the inky Namibian darkness. Slowly the curtain of black was pulled back to reveal the rich colours of the landscape in the soft, forgiving morning light. The Fish River Canyon is a popular hiking destination, but today it is all about running. And first to reach the entry to the descent was Dale Herring. As he tripped his way swiftly down, he was followed by Athanasius Muronga and Philip Wessels. On their heels were Tinyemba Kapapero and Benny Roo. AJ Karlitz was next. And soon AJ was passing Muronga, who moved aside for AJ. There's not a lot of passing space on the pathway to the bottom. And then AJ had Rue and Capapero in his sights. There were a handful of women taking on the full distance event. Just 5 minutes after the top men began the descent, Risa Dreyer began picking her way carefully over the early sections. Back at the start, the larger field of runners in the 65-kilometre race was setting off in much brighter conditions than their brave counterparts in the 100k race. 39 runners had taken on the 65ks, among them 14 women. It was a seriously tough challenge in its own right, not to be tackled by the unfit or ill-prepared. Like all running events, key to a happy day is to avoid getting caught up in the early adrenaline-fueled dash and to pace yourself from the very beginning. Up ahead, Tinyemba Capapero was making his way down the trail. Eric Barnard had reached the point of no return at the top of the descent, and he began the tricky trail with company behind him. Risa Dreyer was nearing the bottom of what can be a treacherous path if not approached with a healthy degree of caution. Back end of the 100k field were able to enjoy the view from the top, as Andre Engelbrecht did. 15 minutes after starting, the first runners in the 65k race were at the descent entry. Among them Dom Wills, Kyron Raad, Adrian Wooding and Sebastian Paul. Jana Hubert was the first of the 65k women to get there and made short work of the gnarly, rocky entry. Behind her was Lindy Adrianse, who was enjoying the freedom of running up front after doing sweeping duties a year ago.
Last year, I participated as a sweeper, part of the Keetmanshoop sweeping team, and it was absolutely amazing. So this year, I got the privilege to take part as a runner myself. Yeah, and I'm very excited. I enjoyed it so much. I started at Wobas, and then when I reached Rolf here at the emergency exit, it just kept getting better and better. And then I decided I want to give it a chance to compete as well. Yeah, just to see if I'm capable of doing it as an athlete, not just as a sweeper. I trained the whole year for the 2 Oceans, so I competed in the 2 Oceans, so I have quite a lot of kilos behind me for the year. So if my feet and my head just keep me strong, then I think I'll be all right.
And young Lindy had it in a nutshell. It's all about the relationship between the runner's head and their feet. And that was functioning well for these runners as they made their way downwards. You don't want to get it wrong here. 100k runner Jacobus Dino was going very well as he neared the bottom. Sophia Ndlovu was second among the women in the 100k race as she made her way to the base of the canyon. As the sun made its welcome appearance, some of the runners were already at the bottom, while others were just starting the descent high above them. There is no real reason to push too hard over this terrain. There is still so far to run and plenty of opportunity to pass runners once down in the canyon. On a narrow path, the pace is dictated by the first person in the line of athletes. View from the top is truly magnificent. The 2-kilometre-long descent drops the runners into the canyon, where they resemble ants as they begin their journey south. Blitzing the descent, Dom Wills was the first of the 65k runners to reach the bottom. And that was still in shade at 9:15. A marauding pack of chasers was not far behind him, among them Kyron Raad and Adrian Wooding, who was back for a second time at the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra.
Last year, the first time, very lucky to get an entry last year for the 100k, and was just happy to come run here in this beautiful place and just enjoyed every step of the run. Was surprised with the result last year. Didn't think that would happen, so holding thumbs this year, maybe one better, maybe I can get one of those nice trophies. Approach in general has definitely been different this year for me overall on my racing. All of it from triathlon to running is I've focused more on short speed work. With the 65 prepping for that is most of my hours I do a lot of cross training, so there's lots of hours spent on the bike, in the pool and running. So the hours is very much the same as it would have been last year, training hours, but lot more short quality for speed work to get the legs up. So I think that definitely puts me in a better position for the 65k. And I do think from last year's experience, if I can make it all in one tact to the last checkpoint with about, I think, 20k's to go, 18k's to go, then from there I can try and push hard for a nice strong finish. That'll be my ideal race as well.
Ian Berger was also at the bottom. The technical descent had seen a change in the women's 65k race, with Julika Paul leading as she reached the bottom. It was close though. Silke Pritsen and Jana Hubert were about a minute behind Julika. The scramble down the sheer side of the canyon tests all the muscles and joints. Perhaps the most important aspect for the runners is their sense of balance and sharp eyesight. Avoiding loose rocks and boulders and slippery stones is crucial. Among this group was Annerie Krier. She and the others were ultra careful over the boulders as they headed towards the river. One over-eager step and it could be all over. Having entered the descent in 6th place, AJ Carlitz had shown his class as he picked off the runners ahead of him, and it was no surprise that he was first at the bottom in the 100k race. Join us after the break as we follow AJ and the rest of the runners down the canyon in the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra. This is the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra, and we're with second place Benny Roo as he makes his way along the Fish River Gorge in pursuit of 100k leader AJ Carlitz. Philip Wessels was followed by early leader Dale Herring, the 23-year-old who was on a voyage of discovery, so to speak.
It was my first 100k distance event. I had one attempt before that, which I unfortunately didn't complete, so I was extremely nervous on the start line, and obviously lots of different stories the night before from previous athletes that have done it and things like that, so didn't really know what to expect. So yeah, I'm hopefully better geared up and better prepared this year. I'm not going to carry as much gear. I think I over-carried myself last year. And yeah, I also did get a little lost last year, so hopefully we've managed to sort that out. I also think I did, at the beginning of the race, maybe get caught up with running after AJ a little bit too fast. I don't know whether that's going to be a good idea or not this year, because he seems to know the route a little bit better, so following him might be a good idea, but you also don't know if you can hold that pace the whole way through, so we'll just have to see how it goes and what happens. Well, I think I definitely didn't look up as much as I should have last year. I was definitely head down and trying to get through as quick as possible, but yeah, this place is really, really beautiful, and also the fact that it's unsupported is amazing. It's such a different element to the racing. You can't rely on a checkpoint or an aid station every 10 kilometers or so you really have to plan yourself out and plan your nutrition very, very well and everything as well. I think I'm still finding my legs with my running. I definitely want to specialize more at the 100k and 100 mile sort of events. I haven't done a 100 miler yet though, but it's on the cards for hopefully next year. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely a race I think I'll keep coming back to. I like the small community and the small numbers of entrants that are here. It keeps it very fun, and it keeps it the gears going the night before the race. Very, very fun as well. I'm hoping to improve on my time from last year, so I want to just be maybe half an hour quicker so I can dip under that 10k number, and also, yeah, hopefully to at least be on the podium, possibly a better step on the podium, but we'll have to see. I see there's some new athletes this year that weren't here last year. Have to obviously give them their respect as well.
Among the returning runners was Gregor Shingweda, who had moved into 4th place. 29-year-old attorney Risa Dreyer from Windhoek was still up front in the women's race over the 100-kilometre route, some 4 hours after starting. German-born Zimbabwe resident Sophia Ndlovu was around 15 minutes behind Risa and dealing with sand in her shoes.
Nice, eh? That'll feel a bit better.
A water table offered some sustenance for the 65k runners. And some 4.25 hours in Dom Wills and Laurie van Zyl near the Oasis. Laurie van Zyl chose to run on and took the lead from Dom. An interesting but potentially risky tactic by Laurie not to use the hydration station. Dom was content to let him go as he took a short stop.
No, it's good. It's tough. The conditions are quite sandy, so it's a little bit It's quite hard going, slow going, but the river is fairly dry, so that makes it a little bit easier.
Back for another tilt at the Fish River Ultra was Chiron Raad, a financial planner and passionate distance runner from Windhoek. Chiron was going well as he closed in on the water point.
Last year the lineup was pretty good. You had Rory Sheffer, who's pretty much South Africa's top number one 65-kilometre runner, ultra trail. Chad Gordon, Will's Dom. The field was quite loaded. But yeah, it was the first time my attempt for my Fish River last year. Normally you would look at elevation gain and you would judge a race according to that, but it is really awkward running. It's technical inside, a lot of sand and rocks and large boulders, and also it's self-navigation. So it's awkward. It has its own challenges, and that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it uniquely Namibian as well, which we're quite proud of. It is definitely an icon, and I think that's where we need to be very thankful for what we've been given, as far as what has been created for us. And it's great to have a draw card like this, where people can come and experience the beauty of Namibia, and that's why we've also got to support the event as well. We obviously go in humble and go in and enjoy it and just be thankful that you can take part. I think sometimes it's all just about winning, but you got to be thankful that you can do this. And we get in the rhythm, get in the rhythm and compress the time and enjoy it, and hopefully we can have a good result.
Also looking for a good finish was Wim Steenkamp, another of Namibia's top trail runners. He was in the top 6 at the moment. Chiron was seemingly taking a little strain as he sat in the shade. Wim downed a quick drink and was soon on his way.
Go.
Top woman in the 65, Ulrika Powell from Cape Town, was just under 5 hours into her run as she came into the water point. She had a new view of the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra.
It was so much tougher than I thought. A lot of thick sand and a lot of loose rocks. But really cool.
Still inside the top 10 men was Adrian Wooding, who was into a steady rhythm of short paces as he wound his way through the rocks. Meanwhile, up ahead, Laurie van Zyls Gamble was paying off. The pharmacist from Namibia crossed the line to win the 65-kilometre race in 5 hours and 52 minutes.
I was about 4th or 5th place going down the ridge, and in just slowly shuffling in the sand and putting one foot in front of the other, make sure to rehydrate and make sure to keep on eating. Caught some of the guys, and at 15 Ks left I realized I was now in first position. I thought, let's see. I was expecting Dom and those guys to really come and catch me on the last 10 Ks, but luckily for me it didn't happen, and these guys are amazing athletes, so I take my hat off to them.
Around 12 minutes after Laurie, Dom Wills, a renewable energy engineer from Cape Town, crossed the line to take second place. Only Laurie van Zyls was able to break 6 hours, while Dom Wills and Chiron Raad were the only other sub-7-hour finishers in the men's race over 65 Ks. 10th place Sven Patzner was the last of the sub-9-hour finishers. Namibian Silke Pritsen was running well in 3rd place in the women's 65, behind Paul and Adrianse. Silke studied engineering in Cape Town and is now working back in Windhoek as a consulting engineer. She was 6 hours into her race as she approached the water point. A few minutes behind her was 100k men's leader AJ Karlitz. Looking incredibly strong after 84 kilometres and in tune with his environment, AJ was also coming up to the water point. He had a fairly comfortable lead and was not going to miss out on a chance to refuel.
It was a strange day. The canyon is nice and empty, but the sand is very soft. So it's not a fast day, contrary to what I thought it would be. But yeah, feeling better now than I did after about 40 Ks. So about 15, 16 to go. Let's do this.
Chasing AJ was Namibian Athanasius Moronga, who left the water point around 15 minutes after the leader. Hunting a spot in the women's podium in the 65k race was early leader Jana Hubert. She was running strongly and clearly feeling good. Third in the men's 100, Benny Roo was around 20 minutes behind Moronga as he reached the water station. The battle for fourth in the women's 65k race was intense. Diana was closely followed by the strong-running Annerie Krier as they neared Four Fingers around 7 hours into their run. This landscape was truly awesome. Up ahead, Yulika Powell was a few hundred meters from the finish of the 65k race. She'd given it her all. And Yulika duly crossed the line to take the win in a few seconds over 7 hours. A fantastic effort for the first-timer.
It was definitely worse than I thought. I think I'm quite used to the trails in Cape Town, which are quite runnable and hard, and then coming here in the soft sand and rock hopping. It's like either soft sand or rock hopping, and it's so difficult because you have to concentrate all the time as well. But it was great. It was a good experience.
Yulika Powell was the only sub-8-hour finisher amongst the women, good enough for fourth overall. Lindy Adrianse was second and Silke Pritzen third, with just 7 minutes between them. Annerie Krier managed to get the better of Jana Hubert to take fourth. Back in the 100k men's race, a tired Dale Herring was approaching the water point. He was in fifth at that stage after 8.5 hours of running. At the finish, it was AJ Carlitz who once again dominated the sharp end of the race and collected a fifth consecutive victory in the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra.
It was a magnificent day out. I actually spent some time this year trying to look around and try and enjoy the canyon more, and it was a good, hard day's work. The sand was very, very soft. There was a tailwind predicted, which was going to be nice, but in the end that didn't really factor through, so we had a headwind for a lot of the way, which I think made going slow. You know, the amount of hikers that have been through in the pre-season and during season makes the sand very soft, so it was a very difficult year out, so congratulations to all the runners that finished.
He was some way off his best time of 6 hours 39, but was nonetheless delighted. A 4-time winner of the 65k race, Athanasius Moronga was second, nearly 17 minutes behind AJ. Another superb performance by AJ Carlitz to take the win in the 100-kilometre race. Moronga and Roo were the only others to dip under 10 hours. Dale Herring was a creditable fifth in 10 hours 41. Women's leader Risa Dreyer reached the water point around 16 k's from the finish after about 9.5 hours on the trail. Risa was in remarkably good humour as she focused on finishing strongly. The sun was dipping out of sight and the back markers were making their way slowly through the Four Fingers section. This was tough going. It was all over though for Risa. She crossed the finish line to win the women's race in a little under 11.5 hours. And her day was not without incident.
It was very good. I loved it. I changed it this year to do this instead of the Comrades, and it really delivered. It is extremely difficult. I really thought it wasn't that bad, but I had a big day ahead. And then, you know, the terrain is so difficult. I got lost at some point, did an extra 6k, and so I was kind of frazzled at some point, but I loved it. It is so beautiful, you know. It's the first time I've been here to the canyon, and I'm a Namibian, so it is really good.
Risa Dreyer took the women's 100-kilometre win in 11 hours and 25 minutes, ahead of Sophia Ndlovu in second place. With a full moon high in the night sky, Namibian World Cup rugby player Dani van Wyk finished the 65k race alongside his wife Milani.
Both of us wanted to see the Fish River Canyon, so doing a marathon through the canyon was not really the idea initially, but yeah, it was actually here for the adventure itself.
It was amazing. It was a little bit tougher than we expected, obviously, but it was very nice. It's very scenic, very beautiful, lots of nice people. We really enjoyed it. The setup is amazing as well.
Race founder Tinus Hansen took part in the Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra for the first time and finished the 65k race in 13 hours and 26 minutes.
Now I know what we've been putting our participants through for the last couple of years. I suppose life has a tendency to come back and bite you. But yeah, it was a great experience. As you said, you know, being part of the organisation and establishing the race, it was just sort of really completing, you know, the circle, now actually participating in the event.
Further back in the canyon, Andre Engelbrecht was at the water point 13 hours after starting his run. He was fiercely determined to see it all through.
Ek het 5 maande baie hard geoefen. Ek gaan klaarmaak.
A few hours later, and less than half an hour before midnight, Andre was the final runner under the Windhoek Light Arch after 17 hours and 21 minutes of running, shuffling and walking. Well done, Andre. Julika Powell, flanked by Lindy Adrianse and Silke Pritsen, alongside Claudia Opperman from Windhoek Light. Winner Laurie van Sail, second Dom Wills and third Kyron Raad were the recipients of the unique trophies in the men's 65-kilometre race. The phenomenal Risa Dreyer collected her trophy as winner of the women's 100-kilometre event. Finally, AJ Carlett stepped up to accept his reward for another amazing run. Athanasius Moronga and Benny Rood joined him and Claudia on the podium at the end of another hugely successful Windhoek Light Fish River Ultra Trail Run. Congratulations to all the athletes. See you in 2020.